Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Reasonable Sanity Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Token, and with us tonight we have a very nice group of people that are here to discuss their stance on marijuana. Should it be legal? Can it cure diseases? Should it be looked at as simple as alcohol, or should it be looked at as bad as heroin? That's for you to decide. Tonight, we're going to go ahead and have a nice round table here. So let me just introduce the guests that are with us. First, we have Dwight. Dwight is an ex-narcotics specialist. Welcome, Dwight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Who cares?
We also have Roy, who's a medical marijuana miracle case, is what they say.
I guess you could say that, yeah.
There's no such thing as miracles.
Then we have Jade. Hi, Jade.
Hey,
Jade
Ryan.
is a goth reality expert.
Hey, Ryan, I don't mean to sound too emotional here, but it's really cool to be on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jade. We also have LJ. LJ is a pro-weed proponent. Welcome, LJ.
How you doing?
Is that a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Females representing.
Then we have Sam. Sam is a anti-drug activist. Welcome, Sam.
Yeah, it's very great to be here. You know, God bless our president and God bless your show,
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
Thank you.
There is no God.
And then we have Eddie Navarro. Is that one name or is that two names? Eddie Navarro. Okay. He's a former driver's ed instructor who is on to a new project and wanted to express his views on this subject on our show. Welcome, Eddie.
Shit job.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let's just jump right into some of the questioning. Let me just go ahead and let's see. Let's start out with Dwight. Dwight, what is your stance on marijuana?
Well, as an enforcement officer, you can imagine I've seen some real horror stories. Marijuana has destroyed families from what I could see. Families have been broken up over simple marijuana. People sit there and say, you know, the Lord grew it. It should be legalized. It's no different than alcohol. I've seen families broken up. I've seen females actually take the stroll on the streets and actually suck the dick of dealers to get their fix of marijuana.
Wow. Hard
Wow.
stuff. Let's go ahead. LJ, what is your feeling, or is it different than Dwight's?
It happens to be quite the opposite, actually. I find marijuana to actually network and bring a lot of people together, especially in the healing community when it comes to people with special needs or illnesses. I've experienced some miracles myself and seen marijuana do its work to counteract things that prescribed medications didn't.
Let's use this correctly. It's devil's lettuce.
Besides that part, I respect everybody's opinion. And as a female, I've never sucked dick for weed, but I know that there's other women around the country that do what they got to do for what they need, and I can't knock them. I mean, everybody has their own choices, and we just have to respect that.
Yeah.
Retarded kids die earlier than most.
Okay, Jade. Thanks for the input. LJ's point that, you know, it can be a cure. It's great that you brought that up because Roy is actually accredited. He was on a TLC show. I don't remember which one, but I seen that in your bio. You were on some TLC show that was mentioned about medical marijuana miracles and things like that.
2007.
Yep. Do you want to go ahead and tell the panel how marijuana saved you?
Well, I had a brain tumor. I was diagnosed in 2005, and it looked pretty hopeless for those 2 years, and I guess it was just, about a year and a half. And I started smoking weed, and within 3 months, it was completely gone.
Really?
Doctors were just blown away. I don't know what to think. Weed cured a brain tumor.
Hey, wow.
You're good. Good. Feeling better, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
You're gonna die soon anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Jade, I'm curious what your opinion on marijuana is, because you seem to have a very negative look at things. I can't tell if you're pro or for.
I thought I was being quite positive and being good for the show. Ryan, as soon as you asked me that question, 5 people just committed suicide for no reason, probably marijuana related. But I have no stance. I smoke it and I don't smoke it. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. We're all just dust in the wind.
Okay, fair enough. Eddie, as somebody who is an expert in driving, or used to be formerly, how do you feel about marijuana? Does it affect people's ability to drive the way they say, or do you have some kind of story that could be somehow attached to that?
I thank you for having me again. Just want to thank the panel as well. I think it's a sacrament, and I think it's a blessing, and I think it's a valuable tool, especially for our youth. And I think we're overlooking the abilities of it to help your cognitive abilities, athletic abilities. I, as you said, am a former driver's education teacher. I created what I call, I started a project, and I created what I call the Smart Stoner Project for kids, basically in inner cities and high-risk schools. We implement this program, and let's be honest, they're basically garbage people at this point. They have nowhere to go. We're talking about places such as East Central Los Angeles, the west side of Chicago, places like this where they're just lost causes. So we can at least help them out with real life troubles that they're going to be coming up with, and one of those is impairment while they're driving. So I encourage my students to smoke their marijuana that they kept bringing in anyway while they were driving, and to learn how to properly navigate stoned. I also approached the music teacher and said, the majority of our best artists have been marijuana users, Jimi Hendrix, for example. And I also went towards the home ec teachers as well, and said we can implement this, get some of these kids to start creating marijuana edibles right there in the school, and we can sell those and make a profit. Depending on whatever the legislation is in the area, and that failed miserably, unfortunately. I was basically the subject of a witch hunt by a woman by the name of Dora Bumpus. She's a school board member, and she led a coup of the entire school board and had them basically come after me and get me fired, and that's where I'm at right now with that.
Okay. Sam, you have an anti-drug stance as an activist, which is a little unusual. More times than not, the activists are on the side of let people do, not hold people back. What drives you to be an activist, not even just against marijuana, just in general?
Well,
I got 5.
Well, Ryan, our president, Richard M. Nixon, he started this war on these terrible drugs like marijuana. And, our president, who I have behind me, Ronald Reagan himself, continued that war. And he started the DARE program, which we tried to, really teach kids, just how terrible these drugs like marijuana are. People like to say that you can't overdose off marijuana and stuff like that. But what they leave out is the fact that 9 times out of 10, it's usually laced with another substance inside it. So it's completely dangerous, and it needs to stay illegal. And I just want to point out, that we had a few guests on here who were trying to make this claim that marijuana is, it improves your cognitive ability and all this other nonsense. And that's, in fact, just completely not true. Marijuana is probably one of the most dangerous drugs out there. It's a Schedule I drug for a reason. There's no medical purpose for it, and it needs to stay legal because it is dangerous for society. And I think that people who want to doubt the government and they want to question the government and what they say about these types of things, they need to keep their mouths shut about something like that, because they don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, LJ, what would your response be to that stance?
I mean, I'm not sure any of them wouldn't know what they're talking about, but from personal experience and based off of research, not just off of what's read in history books, I can say that there's been proven facts and proven just outcome from just cannabis and the community in the cannabis community, and a lot of progress, not to mention financial progress in the community and just the nation all around within the states that have passed legislations just to sell and tax marijuana. I mean, any human can grow a tomato plant just like any human can grow a cannabis plant. And with that, you can control anything that goes in and out of your soil, in and out of your food, in and out of your herbs. Just like anything else, you can grow marijuana and it be healthy for you.
It looks like Dwight has a disagreement.
So,
that's incorrect. One in three children statistically will move on to heroin after marijuana, and that's factual. And in California currently, there's legislation out that they are actually trying to open heroin dispensaries after the success that they've had just in this first couple weeks of having the recreational marijuana dispensaries.
And I'd also like to point out real quick. Excuse me, LG. I'd appreciate it if you don't interrupt me. This is the pro marijuana people. See, look at that. I'm just saying that, I just think that it's really disrespectful of people to question our government, on deciding, these types of marijuana laws. You obviously, you don't know what you're talking about in this situation. Marijuana is dangerous, and the government says so. If you go to the DEA.org, you can look it up yourself, and it's extremely dangerous. They have videos that will demonstrate just how bad.
Well, you can come on over and hang out with me yourself and know that I haven't died yet. So.
Well, I actually had a personal case here. My friend, he was driving a semi-truck. He was driving a cross-country semi-truck haul. Okay? And he did marijuana. He smoked a marijuana cigarette, okay? And he smoked so much of it. He smoked so much of it that his semi-truck went into another car, okay?
Wow, that's really
because of marijuana, he died.
I told you people die all the time.
I'm sorry, no, I can't agree with that. I'm an expert at this, and that must have been laced. Was the marijuana tested for contaminants? Was it real marijuana?
No, it's marijuana. That's how marijuana comes in, and that doesn't matter if it was laced or not, because as I said before, 9 times out of 10, this marijuana is laced with black tar heroin or something of the like.
All right,
that's why we need a controlled environment.
I want to turn to
we got to get rid of it.
Here
We
for
have
a
to
second.
burn it all.
There's proof that it helps.
Roy, you are somebody who has smoked marijuana, and it's helped you in several cases, according to the bio I read.
Well, there's two sides to the coin. I don't know if you read my book, Marijuana Saved to Suffer, but it did save my life. But since then, I've pretty much become a junkie. I've lost my job. I lost my family. I'm living in squalor here. I know LJ claims she's never sucked dick for marijuana, but I've been forced to,
That's a common thing that happens among marijuana users because
he didn't have a choice.
They get desperate for their next hook because they get addicted.
I choose to proceed with success and prosperity and common sense. So, I mean,
his name was actually
everybody's
success.
choice is everybody's choice.
Well,
I guess I've been lucky enough to find
economic.
greater ways to make my money and smoke my weed.
Copy that.
Marijuana destroys your brain and your decision-making abilities, so you can't make those choices. So you're forced to do terrible, degrading things like that.
And I'm nowhere near the minimum wage for the USA, so I guess I've been pretty lucky.
Okay.
Copy that. She's almost done with the podcast.
So
Not a woman. So.
It looks like. See, Dwight might have his own opinion on anybody who's pro here. So, Dwight, why do you think these people are criminals and not stand-up citizens?
Well, they're breaking federal law, number one. That makes them a criminal. I mean, that's number one, absolutely. And the physical toll that marijuana takes on their body, that's another. It's a health hazard. Okay. Besides the smoke that's actually going into their lungs, the other aspects of the health issue, when these people try to hide the marijuana from officers such as myself when I was on the streets, I can't tell you how many rectums were ripped by these dime bags that people were shoving up in there trying to hide them. We literally started. We literally started calling dime bags rectum rippers every time we started searching people. We got the dogs out there. We would identify they had marijuana on them, and we would literally have to insert our fingers into the rectum to retrieve it, because you can't take that into the jail, because that is another charge.
How many times that you would, how often when you would search somebody's rectum, would they actually have marijuana up there?
I would say in a given night, if I pulled 6 people out, and I assume probably 4 of them had marijuana on them, 2 would probably have marijuana up there, actually have marijuana up there.
Okay.
So about a 50% success rate.
Okay.
You see, and that's that with the Smart Stoner Kids program. I teach these kids that are going to be more susceptible to be pulled over, that when it comes to dime bags, if they're going to be driving, you need to insert them past the second knuckle. Always. That reduces the chance so much for you. No, I'm serious. Police dogs cannot smell that deep, and no officer's going past this to second or third knuckle at that point.
That's probably true.
They might need to make a quota.
Might need to what?
We don't have quotas. That's a misconception. We don't have quotas.
That's that. And I just want to point out one other thing.
Go into anybody's rectum for any reason or drug.
How many rectums are they going through? I mean, seriously, these perverts.
Roy.
Yes. I was just thinking about how LJ claims to not do a lot of things. I'm sorry, what?
You being somebody who's used a lot of marijuana, has marijuana ever led to the searching of your anal cavity and the tearing or bleeding that would be along with that?
No, unfortunately, I live in Oregon, and it is legal here, so they don't ever bother us with it. But I do have lung cancer now because I've been smoking so much marijuana.
And you have to pump your own gas now.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt. Is this man right here a fucking vampire, or what is he?
It's a millennial.
Are you talking about Eddie?
No, I think they're talking about you, Jade. I don't know. You've gotten really close to the camera.
Mr. Token, can I please
are you recording this podcast? Quick? Because I'm trying to get some good selfies.
Okay. All right.
Grab them.
Sam, you wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, I just want to say that we should, when we talk about law enforcement, we should probably be given minimum sentences, I'd say, of at least 10 years, for these people. Because we have people constantly coming in and in who are doing marijuana, and all we do is give them a slap on the wrist, like a year or two, and then they're gone.
I have to agree with that, because I would love to get thrown in prison right now just to get away from the marijuana, just to get off of it.
Definitely, it's basically going to prison for people who are addicted to marijuana is basically rehabilitation.
Okay.
In the best way possible.
Okay, that's a very.
But it's also addictive.
And I think that our Attorney General, Jeffrey Beauregard Sessions, should definitely implement a policy like this. And I have it on good authority that we are going to have much stricter sentencing when it comes to marijuana in not just states where it's illegal, but all states. And I think that's a damn good thing. God bless him.
Okay.
Just slap him right on the wrist.
I want to go to Eddie. Because Eddie kind of has the opposite stance. He thinks we should educate people to do drugs versus you're saying we should take people who are doing drugs, put them in prison, because that will.
I think that's that LJ's stance too. Both of them are extremely radical, far left with their policies.
It's just, I think we should just admit that we have certain segments of our society that are lost causes. Why not teach the young children in those areas what to do, to stay on the right side of the law? And I think that we should be a general amnesty on people like this and allow them to go from here on forward to, there should be certain zones where you can have these marijuanas, and I think it should be legalized for children 14 years and up, from the age of 14 until the age of 24. Between 18 and 24 if you're in college. If not, then by the age of 17 you have to be off of it. But I think it makes them more alert and improves the cognitive abilities for certain things, such as jobs where you're going to be driving, making music, and playing basketball.
I can only say that your type of thinking, sir, is only going to keep people like me employed longer, because we're going to be tossing kids like that into juvie, and we're going to be tossing these college-age millennials into prisons.
Well, we're going to teach them not to get tossed into juvie and jail. We're
By
going to
the pigs.
teach them skills.
Well, Dwight, can I
Just
point
like
out
the
that
alcoholics and just like the heroin addicts and the alcoholics and the cigarette users.
And they
Definitely.
come right out.
We
They
should.
come out worse. They come out worse. You throw a kid in for
Statistically,
marijuana.
yes, sir, you're speaking it right.
Excuse me, ma'am. You look like the
Let's-
type of person that needed some time in jail.
It's all about perception.
have you ever been
Black.
in jail?
Who? LJ? No.
The
Never
black.
convicted, never arrested,
Mm.
not
Not yet,
African
though.
American.
Okay.
So
Never convicted. She's been arrested.
All right, so I've got to go ahead.
I just want to advocate one last point
Okay.
that if it's so much of a
I've been
cost for
blessed
everyone,
enough
then maybe
not
we
to
should
come
be
back.
just maybe we should think about implementing for serious cases of marijuana abuse a death penalty. To be quite honest with you, because that's
Wow.
where they're going to get anyways if they
Yes,
keep smoking
please.
marijuana.
Please.
Let me ask
That's
you
your
what is
position.
considered a case that would be, not 10 years in prison but death penalty. How much?
Probably if you smoke one joint a month or more, I'd say is a
Wow.
serious case of addiction.
How are you
Oh,
gonna tell?
oh,
How are you gonna?
We'll do whatever test that we
Hair
need to
test.
do.
We'll do a
Make
hair
them
test.
keen.
Hair test.
Yeah, hair test. We'll do the test from the rectum, from the sweat glands there.
2 knuckles in.
We'll do any test that we need to do possible, and if we find
That's
that
a
there's
lot of
marijuana,
funding and energy and effort and time
And
used
it's
on
for a
something
good
Hang
thing.
on.
worth it.
Good thing.
Wow.
It's for a good thing. We're trying to help people out.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to cut you off there.
Sorry.
We're gonna go to our closing statement. So I'm just gonna randomly pick somebody. We'll go with LJ. LJ, closing statement. Take about
Okay.
30 seconds or so.
Or 10.
Well, I was really appreciative to be on this podcast. I'm really excited. I was given the opportunity and to hear other people's perception around the nation and to just be able to get my thoughts out. And at the end of the day, I respect everyone's decisions, perceptions. I'd appreciate if people walked around with a little bit more decency, a little more common sense, hospitality, love in the heart, a little more peace will be flowing around more. And that's about it.
Thank you. Thank
We're
you.
all gonna die anyway.
Dwight?
You're right.
Dwight, closing statements.
Closing statements. It's people like this, basically the liberal millennial type people that they're keeping people like me when I was working, still in business. I was able to retire with a very hefty pension, and I'm actually still moonlighting. Dropping a dime on people like this, and she looks like she could use some time in jail just to straighten her fucking life out. She looks like the type of deadbeat that runs around on the street, just smoking marijuana and just not doing anything, just fucking hacky sacking it up.
All right.
And
Oh, well,
you-
I think
you
that
should-
my
you-
bills are paid.
All right.
Okay,
Eddie.
how much dick did you suck to get those bills paid? Thank you.
0.
Eddie.
Unlike you and yours.
Eddie, closing
Wow.
statements.
Closing statements. I just think that I just want to ask everyone to donate to me in my current fight against the witch hunt against me in the local school board. And if you're interested in the Smart Stoner for Kids program, please get a hold of me via the social media links that have been provided for this show.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with the giant female lips with everything that she had to say. And I think the guy in black who says that about the death penalty, you're a murderer, is what I think. And I think you should get high.
5 of us are wearing
Okay.
black. That's
All
my
right.
thing.
It's blue.
Roy?
Navy
Roy,
blue.
closing statements.
Tell that dog to be quiet.
I think this podcast pretty much proves the problems that we have with marijuana. 3 of us have admitted to sucking dick for marijuana. Me, Jade, and LJ at the beginning.
No, someone
I
sucked
have
my
to.
dick.
I have to.
LJ's never sucked dick.
LJ did
But she
twice.
said she
Then
used
why
to-
do you show your lips so much?
Okay,
They're on my face,
Well, you're
just like yours.
you got
All
them
right.
DSO.
let's go.
She
Let's
looks
go,
like dick
Jade.
suck.
Jade, closing statements.
You see those clocks behind me?
Yeah.
I have 4 of them. 3 are in sight. 1 fell on the ground. I have those clocks behind me because all of our time is running out. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you. And Sam, your closing
Yeah.
statements.
I just want to say that I think it's really shameful that in our country, especially with our president for life, Donald John Trump, in office right now, that we still have to have this debate about whether marijuana is safe or not. It's obvious that people like LJ, who are probably funded by big marijuana companies out in Colorado and California, are just in it for the money. Who are just in it for the money and are getting paid the corporate cheese just to pump this unpopular opinion and raise public approval so that they can put more cancer drugs, cancer marijuana cigarette drugs in everyone's system. And I just think that this is not what Ronald Reagan fought for, and it's definitely not what he died for. Thank you.
And I also think Roy's hat isn't totally lame.
Why don't you just settle down there, you fucking vampire Zoolander son of a bitch?
Okay, everybody. Let me give my
Wow,
my
give
opinion.
authority to a man like that.
Here's
Suck
my
a dick.
Here's
can
my
I just
quick
also
opinion.
say, Dwight, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
No,
Appreciate that.
So
thank you.
let me just go ahead and end it like this. My personal feeling is people should be able to smoke marijuana if they want to. It could affect you in certain ways, and it probably will make you suck dick. I've done it. I've been there. Chances are you're going to suck dick if you get into weed, but still, that's your thing. So
God bless all of you.
God bless us all. So
There is no God here.
thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Reasonable Sanity Podcast. See you next week. All right, and we're clear.
Awesome.
Thank
That was
you.
fucking amazing, man. I appreciate you having me here.
Yes, this is
That was
great.
fun.
Everybody did an excellent job.
Except Jay.
Man, I think I did.
I don't know
all
why you have to have your cousin on every week for this, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I liked pretending to be a cop and everything, but goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need me to return the hat?
If you want to, I mean, it's up to you. So,
All right.
So thanks everybody. I got to go smoke some weed. Talk to you guys later.
All right.
Enjoy.
I'm
Good
going
night.
back to the
I gotta
Reagan
go, man, of
Institute.
course. I'll be
Hey,
right back.
LJ, shut the fuck up.